geração do desespero, cara a cara com o destino. Vamos nos levantar e declarar: estamos vivos desse caos, não vamos recuar. Revelações brilham como estrelas na noite, com visões que se desdobram da escuridão para a luz. Mas em meio a toda essa ruína, a força a ser encontrada em unidade surgindo de debaixo da terra. Então vem a morte, seu corcel pálido, tão som tá contando silêncio. Vamos nos levantar e declarar: estamos vivos nesse caos, não vamos recuar, não vamos recuar. Portanto, deixa-os cavalgar por essas terras arrasadas. Eles trazem destruição, mas vamos tomar nossas posições. Em ecos de angústia ou gritos de renascimento, encontraremos nossa redenção aqui nessa terra. Como um trem de carga e o céu racha de raiva. Sinto o peso das minhas próprias correntes nesta tempestade. Estou preso no palco, livre como um raio, mas conta tão fundo. Um flash que me mostrou que não posso manter. Oh, não há sinal de amanhecer. Rompendo, você é um fantasma no meu coração que eu conheci, como sombras dançando em uma tempestade furiosa. Um arco-íris perdido onde escuridão nasce. Sim, você é apenas um arco-íris no escuro. Meu lampejo de esperança deixa uma marca dolorosa. Cada grito ecoa nessas paredes como sussurros de demônios que nunca caem, lutando contra sombras que se agarram à minha alma. Sua risada suando enquanto eu perco o controle. Eu clamo por magia, ele escapa do meu alcance. Apenas momentos fugazes que nunca duram. Oh, não há sinal de amanhecer. Rompendo, você é um fantasma no meu coração que eu conheci, como sombras dançando em uma tempestade furiosa. Um arco-íris perdido onde escuridão nasce. Sim, você é apenas um arco-íris no escuro. Meu lampejo de esperança deixa uma marca dolorosa. Você pode ouvi-lo chamando, ele treme por dentro. Um batimento cardíaco de fúria, sonhos negados. Somos apenas silhuetas contra esse céu noturno, segurando firme tudo que negamos. Oh, não há sinal de amanhecer. Rompendo, você é um fantasma no meu coração que eu conheci, como sombras dançando em uma tempestade furiosa. O arco-íris perdido onde a escuridão nasce. Sim, você é apenas um arco-íris no escuro. Meu lampejo de esperança deixa uma marca dolorosa. Então quando um raio cai e me despedaça, saiba que é grátis, mas sempre encontra sua marca. Neste caos girando em torno de nossa dor, vamos subir como brasas até brilharmos novamente. Apenas arco-íris subindo das sombras de novo, lutando contra tempestades pra encontrar nossa verdade. Sim, um arco-íris brilhando e verdadeiro. Sentindo-se selvagem, tem no meu coração em overdrive, perseguindo sonhos criança inquieta com fogo que me mantém vivo. Não presta nada, apenas deixe rolar. Esta vida é uma aposta que eu estou pronto pra tomar. Com cada reviravolta da estrada aberta, estou dançando nas ondas que faço. Eu estou na estrada para a liberdade, onde as luzes não se apagam. Nenhuma corrente pode segurar esse espírito. Toda noite é outra peça gritando alto com meus amigos ao meu lado. Em uma sinfonia de som, nos levantaremos nessa estrada para a liberdade, baby. Vamos perseguir para sempre pelos céus. Não há sinais de parada nesse passeio imprudente, acelerando o que eles chamam de seguro, como um trovão rolando sem onde se esconder. Vou quebrar essas paredes e escapar. Destino, eu estou lucrando agora. Viver a vida sem arrependimento ou medo. Com cada grito da minha multidão agitada, somos invencíveis quando estamos perto. Eu vou na estrada para a liberdade, onde as luzes não se apagam. Nenhuma corrente pode segurar esse espírito. Toda noite é outra peça gritando alto com meus amigos ao meu lado. Em uma sinfonia de som, nos levantaremos nessa estrada para a liberdade, baby. Vamos perseguir para sempre pelos céus. Com cada milha que deixo pra trás, o peso da dúvida começa a desaparecer. Esta jornada é nossa e nunca nos importamos. O caminho lá frente é cristalino, deixa sussurrar sobre quem somos. Estamos brilhando mais do que suas estrelas. Eu estou na estrada para a liberdade, onde as luzes não se apagam. Nenhuma corrente pode segurar esse espírito. Toda noite é outra peça gritando alto com meus amigos ao meu lado. Em uma sinfonia de som, nos levantaremos nessa estrada para a liberdade, baby. Vamos perseguir para sempre pelos céus. Sempre pelos céus. Sim, estamos vivendo facilmente sobre o ar selvagem, em nosso caminho para a noite sem fim. A rodovia está chamando enquanto acendemos o hino da liberdade em nosso voo. Dono, estamos vivendo facilmente sob o luar selvagem, em nosso caminho para a noite sem fim. A rodovia está chamando enquanto acendemos o hino da liberdade em nosso voo.
Dream shattered was just a lesson learned. Falling like ashes, but from them you'll burn. Take every moment that life hands to you. Fuel your fire, let it push you through. When darkness whispers, it's time to retreat. Stand up tall, don't accept defeat. Every heartbeat echoes like a battle drum. Feel that power rising, now here they come. You're the best around. Nothing's gonna hold you back. With a heart of steel and a fierce attack. You're the best around. Rise above the just another face in this crowd.
Essa noite, com um rugido que sacode o chão, acendendo a luta. Cada batimento cardíaco só se acelerado quando entramos no ringue. Guerreiros em movimento, ouçam o sino da liberdade cantar. De becos a telhados, onde nascem lendas, estamos flash, cameras clicking quick. Showtime, super gringo slick. Headlines buzzing like a mix. 20 seconds, that's the fix. Short and sharp, just like a dart. Gringo's antics steal your heart. In a flash, the show will start. Super shots, that's where we part. Short and sharp, just like a dart. Gringo's antics. In a flash, the show will start. Super shorts, that's where we part.
We've got Bernie supporters on Facebook trying to espouse the utopian dream of socialism. That's what it is, a dream. These socialists don't even know what socialism is. Bernie Sanders doesn't even know what socialism is. No, Scandinavia is not socialist. Every program they have is paid for through capitalism. Some of them were socialist in the 70s and 80s, but it failed. As a matter of fact, they have fewer regulations than the United States as far as business. They're higher on the capitalist scale than the United States. How is it that countries with all these social welfare programs have less bureaucracy than the United States? That's a question you should be asking yourself, not whether socialism is great or not. We do have examples of socialism within the United States. Take the Veterans Administration for example. All the doctors are government employees. The nurses, the equipment is all owned by the government, the building, are all government buildings. You notice I didn't say successful examples of socialism. The Department of Education, another socialist program. 1 in 4 high school graduates cannot read above a 6th grade level. The Department of Education was started in 1979, we were ranked 14th in education in 1979. We are now ranked 40th. To put that into context for you, Brazil is ranked 79th. We've actually gotten closer to Brazil. Brazil's president could not read until he was a teenager. School here is not a right, you're not forced to go. They actually have government-sponsored military schools here. Not military like you see in the movies, they just basically wear uniforms, and go to regular school. We also have leftists on Facebook all upset about this Garcia guy being deported back to his home country. Yes folks, his home country. He's not an American citizen, we just returned him home. However, everybody's losing their minds. To put this whole thing into context, do you know what they do in Brazil if you come here illegally? I know this is going to blow the loony leftists' minds. They kick you the fuck out. That's right. they'll throw you out of Brazil for being here illegally. Because they have immigration laws. To top it all off, they'll even make you pay for all or part of your flight out. They'll charge you 100 reals a day up to 10,000 reals, for every day you're here illegally. Imagine that, enforcing immigration law. Crazy. Another thing that left likes to do, that just makes him look even dumber, is when I share the links to my books, they'll just tell me the book is wrong. I don't have a receipt that you bought the book. Which would mean unless you stole a copy, you didn't buy the book. If you didn't buy the book, that means you didn't read the book. Yesterday I had a fool, actually for 2 days, commenting on a bunch of questions I asked from one of my books. George Washington called the United States a commercial republic, meaning international trade. He didn't want us to get militarily involved in Europe's wars. Here we are in our third one. A loony leftist. I tried to prove that my book was wrong, that he'd never read, by saying America was a constitutional republic. He is right, we have a constitution, that gives the federal government the authority to conduct international trade. You know, to be a commercial republic. I also shared links from other professors, who had written essays on the commercial republic. To be honest, I think the commercial republic is over. We have too many troops and too many countries. That was the whole point of the commercial republic comments that George Washington made in his farewell address. Don't get involved in other people's wars. So, as they're commenting on my books, that they haven't read, it just makes them look dumber. They wonder why I call them stupid. That's it, it's that simple. You do stupid stuff, I will call you stupid. Ignorant is different, ignorant is not knowing. However, I have given you the tools to know. If you choose to ignore the tools, so you'll know, you're no longer ignorant, you're stupid. That's how that works. Then I had another leftist this morning comment on my video about this Garcia guy. Where's the evidence? So I had to get the text for the video, highlight the part where the judge said he was a member of MS-13, and should be deported. That was in 2019. That was at the end of Donald Trump's first term, and that's what this is all about. This has nothing to do with MS-13, this has nothing to do with El Salvador, this has nothing to do with a guy named Garcia. This has to do with a guy named Trump. Their hatred for one man puts our country at risk. At some point, I think we may have to designate the Democrat Party as a domestic terrorist organization. I just saw the perfect meme about the loony left. So if Trump is a Nazi, and he won the popular vote, then most people believe Democrats are worse than Nazis, right? Now, this Garcia guy was applying for asylum in the United States because they said his life was in danger in El Salvador. El Salvador is now one of the safest countries in the Western Hemisphere, thanks to its new president. So his life is no longer in danger. He can be sent home. He no longer requires asylum. Unless his life is still in danger from rival gangs. Which would mean, he's in a gang that has rivals. 2 different judges said there was sufficient evidence that this guy was a member of MS-13 designated terrorist organization according to the United States, so I believe he's had his due process. He's been in front of 2 different judges. Kilmer Abrego Garcia was arrested in 2019 while meeting with MS-13 members after entering the United States illegally in 2012. Recently, there has been a significant focus on his case, particularly highlighted by a video from Libs of TikTok featuring Democratic U.S. Senator Chris Van Hollen in El Salvador. In this video, Van Hollen demands that President Bukele release Garcia, whom he describes as a man charged with no crime, convicted of no crime, and who was illegally abducted from the United States. This situation is further complicated by allegations that Garcia physically abused his wife years prior to his deportation. Many observers find it hard to believe we are still discussing this case, as the Department of Justice has made clear statements regarding Garcia's actions and the reasons for his deportation. It's important to note that the withholding of deportation that was in place was conditional and temporary. It could be voided if circumstances in Garcia's home country changed, thus eliminating any perceived threat. Since Garcia's arrival in the United States, El Salvador has seen significant improvements in safety under President Bukele, leading many to argue that there is no longer a threat to him if he were to return. The Trump administration has argued that the Alien Enemies Act states that withholding of deportation does not apply to terrorists. 2 judges have determined that Garcia is indeed a member of MS-13. Recent documents reveal that he was found with known gang members, and he was identified as wearing MS-13 gang attire. This led to 2 judges concluding that it was likely he was affiliated with the gang. Despite having a deportation order upheld by an appellate court, Garcia managed to avoid deportation by skipping hearings and failing to file for asylum. Interestingly, there is now a narrative emerging from some quarters that Garcia's wife claims he is a good husband. However, reports indicate she had previously filed an order of protection against him. The situation has led to some humorous commentary, likening Democrats' advocacy for Garcia to sideshow Bob stepping on a rake. The irony is not lost on those who see Democrats asking for the release of gang members who were in the U.S. illegally. The discussion around this case raises broader questions about political alignment and public perception. Some argue that Democrats seem to take the side of individuals who are clearly on the wrong side of the law, which could be seen as detrimental to their standing among voters. The commentary suggests that if Democrats continue to align themselves with individuals like Garcia, it could be politically advantageous for Republicans. The conversation also touches on the complexities of personal relationships, particularly regarding Garcia's wife. Some speculate that her claims about their marriage being strong may stem from a form of Stockholm Syndrome. This leads to further discussions about the nature of criminality and personal agency, with some arguing that societal conditions often excuse criminal behavior while others maintain that individuals should be held accountable for their actions. As the dialogue progresses, it becomes clear that there are differing views on how to approach issues of crime and punishment. While some believe in understanding the circumstances that lead individuals to commit crimes, others argue for a more straightforward approach, simply holding criminals accountable regardless of their background or personal history. In conclusion, the case of Kilmer Abrego Garcia encapsulates a multitude of themes: immigration policy, criminal justice, political alignment, and personal accountability. It serves as a microcosm of larger societal debates about how we view crime and those who commit it, as well as the political ramifications of these views. The loony left is upset that I call them stupid when they say something stupid. I'm not really up on the etiquette. When can you call someone stupid? The first time they say something stupid, or is there a level of grace you have to give and must wait until the second, third or fourth stupid thing? Pretty much everything the left posts on my social media. I'm old, so I don't like to waste time to get to the truth. The Washington Post reports that Chief U.S. District Judge James E. Boasberg of Washington, D.C., announced on Wednesday his intention to launch proceedings to determine whether any officials from the Trump administration defied his order prohibiting the removal of Venezuelan migrants from the country, based on the Wartime Alien Enemies Act. The Constitution does not tolerate willful disobedience of judicial orders, especially from officials of a coordinate branch who have sworn an oath to uphold it. Boasberg's order represents a significant development, as he indicated that there was probable cause to believe that contempt of court had occurred. This situation raises critical questions about the potential consequences if the judge were to issue a warrant for the arrest of Trump's attorneys or any officials from his administration. The jurisdictional authority responsible for executing such a warrant is uncertain. If a judge were to issue a warrant for the arrest of Trump's U.S. attorneys, it is unclear who would actually carry out the arrest. Would law enforcement officials refuse to act on a warrant they personally disagree with? This ambiguity complicates the legal landscape surrounding the case. Moreover, there is an ongoing debate about whether the contempt charges hold any weight, especially in light of recent Supreme Court rulings that may have overridden the authority claimed by Judge Boasberg. Critics argue that this could be seen as a judicial coup, as it appears to challenge the established authority of the executive branch. The judge's determination to pursue criminal contempt charges suggests he is prepared to escalate matters significantly, potentially leading to fines or even jail time for those involved. However, it is worth noting that jailing a federal prosecutor is exceedingly rare and would likely provoke a major legal and constitutional standoff. The implications of this case extend beyond the courtroom, as it highlights the tension between different branches of government and raises concerns about judicial overreach. Many observers believe that district court judges wield more power than they should, particularly when their rulings can effectively block actions taken by the executive branch. This situation underscores an ongoing constitutional crisis in which the balance of power among branches of government is increasingly contested. In light of these developments, some argue that Donald Trump should begin to ignore judicial orders that they perceive as overstepping. This perspective suggests that public perception plays a crucial role in how these legal battles are viewed by the electorate. If Trump openly defies court orders, it could galvanize public support or backlash, depending on how his actions are interpreted by the general populace. Furthermore, discussions around universal injunctions have surfaced, with many arguing that they are unconstitutional. Critics assert that judges should only have authority over parties directly involved in their proceedings, not over nationwide policies. This perspective is bolstered by the fact that a significant number of universal injunctions have been issued against Trump during his presidency, raising questions about judicial authority and its limits. I think it's time the DOJ step in and remind these district judges the limits of their authority. District judges are the first level of federal judiciary, located across various districts in the United States. They are responsible for overseeing a wide range of cases, including civil and criminal matters. Their decisions can significantly influence legal outcomes and public policy within their jurisdictions. While they hold substantial power, particularly in significant cases, they are bound by territorial limits that prevent their decisions from extending beyond their district borders. District judges operate under the presumption of localized jurisdiction, which means they can only make rulings applicable to the legal matters arising within their designated areas. This structure is designed to preserve a decentralized legal system, where different districts can address distinct local issues effectively. A nationwide injunction is a judicial ruling that prohibits enforcement of a law or government action across the entire country, as opposed to only within the specific jurisdiction where the case was decided. These types of injunctions have garnered attention, particularly when higher courts, including federal appellate courts and the Supreme Court, have taken steps to limit or critique their issuance. While the concept of nationwide injunctions intends to provide swift relief against government policies deemed unconstitutional or otherwise unlawful, their application raises significant issues regarding the role of district judges. The legal community remains divided over their appropriateness and implications. The authority of federal district judges is delineated by the Constitution and federal statutes, which designate them as representatives of the judicial branch within their respective districts. As such, any ruling issued by a district judge is valid only within that geographic area. For example, a district court decision may impact cases arising from states within that district, but it cannot dictate legal standards for districts in other parts of the country. The Supreme Court's decisions reinforce these limitations. In cases such as United States v. Nixon and Arizona v. United States, higher courts have underscored the importance of district judges' territorial jurisdiction, affirming that their authority does not extend beyond their individual districts. The prevention of nationwide injunctions by district judges upholds the principles of federalism and serves to maintain checks and balances within governmental power. In recent years, several high-profile cases have sparked debates about the ability of lower courts to issue nationwide injunctions. A notable example is the litigation surrounding the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals (DACA) program. During legal challenges related to the program, judges from various districts issued conflicting rulings, leading to public confusion and inconsistency across jurisdictions. In 2018, for instance, a federal district judge in California issued an injunction against the Trump administration's efforts to dismantle DACA, making the ruling applicable nationwide. However, critics pointed out that this type of injunction potentially undermines the scope of judicial authority, particularly when lower courts intervene in high-stakes political issues. Moreover, the Supreme Court has increasingly cautioned against the overreach of lower courts. In the 2021 case of Department of Homeland Security v. Regents of the University of California, the court highlighted the need for restraint and clarity in lower court rulings, particularly those that influence national policies. The limitations faced by district judges in issuing nationwide injunctions are significant regarding federalism. Federalism, the division of authority between national and state levels, is a foundational concept in the American legal system. By restricting the ability of district judges to extend rulings beyond their jurisdictions, the system underscores the importance of local governance and diverse interpretations of law based on regional contexts. Moreover, the prohibition of nationwide injunctions encourages litigants to seek redress in multiple jurisdictions. This can lead to varied outcomes based on local legal interpretations, creating a patchwork of legal standards across the country. While this could result in inconsistent application of laws, it also allows for tailored justice that reflects the unique legal and cultural landscapes of different regions. As conversations about the role of district judges continue to evolve, several challenges and potential directions emerge. Given the increasing polarization of legal and political issues, district judges may encounter more cases that demand nationwide responses. The pressure to create uniform legal standards on contentious issues such as immigration, healthcare, and civil rights could lead to renewed calls for the ability to issue nationwide injunctions. Legislative developments may also shape the future landscape of judicial authority. If Congress seeks to formalize or restrict the ability of district judges to issue nationwide injunctions, the implications could resonate across various legal fronts. Therefore, it is crucial for lawmakers to consider the balance of power and the protection of judicial independence when proposing such changes. Additionally, emerging technologies and social media raise questions about the dissemination and influence of judicial rulings. In a globalized world, the rapid spread of information can blur the lines of local authority, which may prompt future challenges in defining the limits of district court rulings. District judges play an essential role in the U.S. judicial system, with jurisdictional limitations that restrict the issuance of nationwide injunctions. These limitations underscore the principles of federalism, maintaining a balance among the branches of government. While recent cases have highlighted the tensions surrounding judicial authority, the prohibition of nationwide injunctions upholds the integrity of localized legal interpretations. As societal issues evolve, the conversation around judicial authority will remain relevant, prompting the need for ongoing discourse on the implications of judicial power in a complex legal landscape.
Tesla protesters are scratching other Teslas that are owned 95% by Democrats. Like, f*** you for being on the same side as me, asshole, agreeing with me on everything, off. What are these Democrats? They're not thinking. That's like taking some dog shit, putting it in a paper bag, lighting it on fire, stomping on it yourself. Like, I'll show you. Oh, fuck. Tesla.
Rob is right, 95% of all Tesla owners are Democrats. They are literally calling their own party Nazis. At this point, I think Democrats have made more Republicans than Donald Trump. As I said yesterday in Portuguese, the loony left are very upset that I don't do my lives live. I use voice to text, then use AI voices, and photos, to do my videos. Well, the first part of this video was made in the morning, when I came across some videos, and some information. This part is being done at about 10 o'clock. I'll probably do more later. So this is a all-day video. I even wrote another chapter in a book. While in between, I was using speech-to-text to write parts of this video. People don't understand because they live in the Twitter age. 20 words, pretty much it, that's the best they can come up with. Some people only come up with like 1 or 2, Nazi, fascist, racist, All the standard stuff when they're one of the 40% who can't read above a 6th grade level. Back to the Tesla video, and Rob being right, they used to be climate change zealots too. I guess they don't believe burning batteries and cars will affect the environment. I do love this quote by Thomas Sowell: apologizing for sins committed by other people in the past seems to have become a political vogue. Considering all the wrongs committed around the world for centuries, against people of every race, color, creed, national origin, and sexual orientation, if we are going to apologize for all that, we are not going to have any time left to get anything else done. Another good one from Thomas Jefferson: timid men prefer the calm of despotism to the tempestuous sea of liberty. Another thing I like to do now, after I wrote that book on division, racial fanaticism in the United States, the loony left to believe you can be racist and not even know it. It's called unconscious bias. So, when these fools say something, like Nazi, racist, I have to ask, well, aren't you a Nazi and a racist, without knowing? It sounds like your unconscious bias is kicking in. I look at my life like this: if something I'm doing or saying is triggering a loony leftist, then whatever I'm doing or saying is the right thing to do. I guess a Palestinian student, on a student visa, was removed from Columbia University. As an immigrant myself, let me explain a green card. A green card is an invitation by a foreign country to live within its borders, as long as you follow their laws, and make an honest attempt to integrate. I live in Brazil. I have to learn to speak Portuguese in order to survive here. I can't protest here. I do not have the freedom of speech in Brazil. I do not have the right to vote in Brazil. The government of Brazil, like the government of the United States, has the authority to yank my green card, my permanent residency card, at any time for any reason. I could pass gas in the mall, and they could yank my green card, and deport me. They don't have to have a reason. You are living as a guest within that country, and as a guest, if you're asked to leave, you have to leave. You are not a citizen. Immigration is not a right, it is a privilege. Just an idea: don't immigrate to a country you hate, and then spend all your time telling that country how much you hate it. They may kick you the fuck out. That doesn't make the country you immigrated to bad, that makes you an idiot. I was just watching another expat video, and it just reminded me of another difference between Brazilians and Americans. More specifically myself. Brazilians are intensely worried about what people think of them, even online. Whereas I don't care. You don't pay my bills. You don't feed me. And we're sure as hell not having sex. So if you're not feeding me, financing me, or fucking me, your opinion doesn't matter. Brazilians get embarrassed if someone comments negatively on one of their comments online. I don't care. It didn't take any money out of my pocket for you to do that. Didn't take any food out of my fridge. Of course positive comments aren't getting me money either. So I don't care either way, but Brazilians don't understand that it's not impacting their life in any meaningful way. In between making these observations, I'm watching Star Trek Enterprise on my computer, thinking about how I'm going to put together Friday's karate training. The case of Abrego Garcia is quite revealing. Wait until you hear what we've just found out about this individual. He has become the left's poster boy, particularly for those who sympathize with the plight of a Maryland dad whom President Trump seemingly targeted for no good reason, shipping him off to a prison in El Salvador. However, it is crucial to note that he is not merely a Maryland dad, he is also not a U.S. citizen. Originally from El Salvador, he was brought to the United States illegally by his parents when he was 16. In 2019, he was arrested for suspected gang activity. During the investigation into his activities, authorities discovered his illegal status, leading to an order for his removal from the country. A district court judge and an immigration trial judge both agreed that he needed to be removed. Despite pleading for mercy, claiming that he could face gang violence if returned to El Salvador, he was initially allowed to stay under the condition that he would not be sent back. Since then, he has been living in a state of limbo, relying on the benevolence of the system while being aware that he could be deported at any time. In an effort to garner sympathy from the American public, particularly women, his wife has been paraded in front of the media, portraying him as a loving husband and father. She asserts that her husband is an amazing partner and father. However, recent reports from Andy Ngo and subsequently verified by Bill Malus of Fox reveal a troubling history. This so-called great husband has been accused multiple times of domestic violence by his wife. Court records from 2020 and 2021 confirmed these allegations, which she signed under penalty of perjury. This raises significant questions about her credibility. While she describes him as a loving partner, the existence of these domestic violence records complicates that narrative. This is not merely a case of a victimized individual being unfairly targeted by the Trump administration, rather, it highlights a man who has been found by 2 courts to have ties to MS-13 and has been accused of being a serial domestic abuser. One of the more alarming aspects of Biden's open border policy is how it has inadvertently encouraged such situations. In the name of compassion for those in need, we have seen an influx of illegal immigrants that has led to increased competition for jobs and a rise in domestic abuse cases that often go unreported due to fear of deportation. Many women in abusive situations choose not to report their husbands for fear that doing so will lead to their deportation. The question arises, why was Abrego Garcia not deported after these domestic violence incidents? The immigration system appears to be flawed, allowing individuals with violent histories to remain in the country while others are deported for lesser offenses. The Democrats often act as though Trump is at fault for enforcing existing laws, while they themselves have contributed to the dysfunction within the system. Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland has taken it upon himself to advocate for Garcia, traveling to El Salvador to protest his detention. He claims that this is a miscarriage of justice and insists on fighting for Garcia's return to his family. However, this perspective overlooks the serious allegations against Garcia and the implications of ignoring due process in favor of political posturing. Moreover, Senator Chris Murphy has weighed in on this situation, framing it as a constitutional crisis. He argues that if the president can imprison or deport anyone at will, then none of us are safe. This rhetoric is misleading and plays on fears that do not apply to American citizens. The reality is that there is a legal distinction between citizens and non-citizens, and efforts to conflate the two are part of a broader agenda by Democrats who wish to create a slippery slope regarding immigration laws. The Democratic base largely consists of affluent individuals who may not grasp the complexities faced by working-class Americans. Their advocacy often ignores the realities experienced by those who live in proximity to individuals like Garcia, who are embroiled in serious legal issues. The disconnect between elite political narratives and the concerns of average Americans is stark. While some may view Abrego Garcia as a victim of an unjust system, it is essential to consider the full context of his situation. The implications of allowing individuals with violent histories to remain in the country under the guise of compassion can have far-reaching consequences for communities across America. The ongoing debate about immigration policy must take into account both legal distinctions and the realities faced by those living alongside non-citizens who engage in criminal behavior.
It's not just that his grandparents got kicked out of Canada for being Nazis. People are better than their ancestors, but come on, then he wants on Twitter to make Nazi jokes. Instead of explaining or apologizing, that's suspicious, that's weird.
Okay, you can lie, that's how we know you're leftists. You'd think they'd revoke the citizenship of a Nazi. Sit down, stupid. No, Elon Musk's mother, May Musk, is not currently living in Canada. While she was born in Canada and holds Canadian citizenship, she has also lived and worked extensively in South Africa and the United States. She is a model, dietitian, and author, and is currently based in the U.S. May Musk's move to Canada in 1989 was a significant event, as she and her daughter Tosca relocated there. However, she has since established a life and career primarily outside of Canada. There is no direct evidence to support the claim that Elon Musk's maternal grandparents, Joshua N. Haldeman and Winifred Wynne Josephine Fletcher Haldeman, were Nazi Party members in Canada, nor that they moved to South Africa because they supported apartheid. In a memoir titled A Woman Makes a Plan, Advice for a Lifetime of Adventure, Beauty, and success. Mae Musk explained that her parents moved away from Canada in 1950 because they met missionaries who had been to South Africa, who had told them how beautiful it was. On the other hand, in a biography of Elon Musk, Walter Isaacson wrote that Haldeman immigrated to South Africa because he was disillusioned with the Canadian government's growing control over individual freedoms. With his quirky conservative populist views, Haldeman came to believe that the Canadian government was usurping too much control over the lives of individuals and that the country had gone soft. So in 1950, he decided to move to South Africa, which was still ruled by a white apartheid regime. I use the same software I used for my pictures on pictures of my wife. Except for the clothes, she doesn't look all that different.
Tempestade volta em calmaria. Em seu levis ela é uma visão. Não há necessidade de glamour ou charme. A cada passo ela dança leve, uma faísca sob as estrelas. Sua beleza não é uma tela, está escrito em suas cicatrizes. Oh, você pode chamá-la de Plain Jane, mas ela está queimando como uma chama. Plain Jane, você está me deixando louco. Plain Jane, deixe-me te amar através da dor. Seus beijos batem como um trovão, pulso elétrico e calor. Em um mundo de rostos pintados, ela é a verdade que eu quero conhecer. Enquanto outros perseguem a perfeição, ela usa seu coração com orgulho. Com cada palavra não dita, não há lugar para se esconder. Oh, você pode chamá-la de Plain Jane, mas ela está queimando como uma chama. Plain Jane, yeah baby, me deixe louco de novo. Plain Jane, deixe-me te amar através da dor dessas correntes. É preciso um tipo especial de homem para ver sob a pele, para mergulhar nas profundezas onde o amor verdadeiro começa. Seu sorriso é tímido, mas feroz como fogo. Ela sabe exatamente quem ela é. Um diamante bruto que